Boker Tov. We are on Daf Yud Gimel. So we're holding by the two dots on the very top where it says Ketzad Potrot Tzarotehen. Boker Tov. Perfect timing. So this is a bit lighter. There's one case on this Amud that's a bit tricky and may require some figuring out the case of who married who. But other than that, it's pretty light Amud compared to the heavy Gemaras that we've been doing. Okay, so Ketzad Potrot Tzarotehen. So we said in the Mishnah that the co-wife of an erva does not do yibum or chalitza, and also the co-wife of a co-wife, meaning if she does yibum to one of the brothers that she's not an erva to, or that none of the wives were an erva to, and then that brother dies, her co-wife also doesn't do yibum to the brother that was an erva to. Yeah, so let's say you have Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda. So Reuven marries Shimon's daughter, okay? And he has another wife.
Okay.
And then Reuven dies. That other wife does yibum to Levi, and Levi dies. Then his wife does yibum to Yehuda, and Yehuda dies. That wife of Yehuda is a tzarat erva, the co-wife of someone who was a co-wife of an erva. Still, there's no yibum, no chalitza. So the Gemara says, Minani mili. How do we know this? So Amar Rav Yehuda, the Amar Kra litzror. Rav Yehuda says we have a drasha. The pasuk says litzror, haTorah ribita tzarot harbe. That even the co-wife of a co-wife, the Torah includes many different co-wives. So not only Reuven's wives cannot do yibum to Shimon, but any of the other brothers who do yibum to any one of Reuven's wives, none of their wives could do yibum to Shimon. Rav Ashi Amar, Rav Ashi says svarahi. You don't need this drasha. It's a svara. Tzara ma'itama asira dibimkom erva kaima. What's the whole reason that the tzara is asur? Reuven has two wives. One of them is Shimon's daughter. One of them is some other lady. So that other lady, why is she asura? Because since the mitzvah of yibum doesn't apply here, she remains as an erva. So if she remains as an erva, meaning this is kind of an underlying idea here. Every co-wife, every yibum, she's really an erva. It's just the Torah was matir. Right? Every case of yibum, she's an erva. She's the brother's wife. That's an erva. The Torah was matir, that erva. The Torah allowed that erva for the purpose of yibum. But if there's a scenario where there's no mitzvah of yibum, so then she remains being an erva. So Rav Ashi says, 1 second, the co-wife, the other wife of Reuven, if there's no mitzvah of yibum, automatically she remains being an erva.
Why?
Because she's the brother's wife. Anytime there's no mitzvah of yibum, so the brother's wife is an erva. If they have children, if the brother has children and he dies, his wife is an erva. If the brother divorces his wife is an erva. Anytime that there's no mitzvah of yibum, the wife is an erva. So if that's the case, then the tzara bimkom erva kaima, she remains an erva. So tzara nami bimkom erva kaima, that will extend to the co-wife of the co-wife, meaning she's also going to remain an erva. You don't need to come onto this limud of litzror. All you need to know is that since yibum doesn't apply, so she remains as an erva. Okay, next piece. Ketzad imetu hen chulan. So what did we say? We said in the Mishnah, all the way back on Bet Amud Bet, we said that if any of them die before, let's say, the erva of bito, the first case of the Mishnah. So Reuven is married to his niece, his brother's daughter. So we said if she dies, or if she gets divorced, or something like that will terminate the marriage before yibum, right? Before the man dies, before there's a chance for yibum, before yibum comes up, the person is allowed to marry the co-wife. So again, cases Reuven and Shimon. Reuven is married to two wives. one of them is an erva to Shimon.
His daughter.
Yeah, if that marriage is terminated, that girl dies or there's a divorce or something, and then Reuven dies, he can marry the other wife. He could do yibum to the other wife. Because that marriage was terminated. That's what the Mishnah said. Okay? So let's read the Gemara. So says the Gemara. Sorry, I flipped back. So says the Gemara. So Ketzad metu hen va'afilu kanas ulbesof giresh. Now you see from our Mishnah that if the guy did he married her, he did yibum, and then afterwards divorced her before the yibum came up. So then she'll be p'tura from yibum. Now the Gemara is going to ask a question on this. It says Uraminu Gimel Achim. So Gimel Achim. Cases like this. Okay, this case is a little bit confusing. Shnayim nisuin shtei achayot. So there's three brothers. Two of the brothers are married to two sisters. Ve'echad nasui nochrit, and one of the brothers is married to some other lady. Okay, so giresh echad mi ba'alei achayot ishto. So one of the ones that was married to a sister. So again, you have Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Reuven and Shimon are the two that are married to sisters. Levi is married to somebody else. Okay, I should have put this up on the projector. I forgot. So Reuven and Shimon are married to two sisters. Levi is married to somebody else. So Giresh echad mi ba'alei achayot ishto. Reuven, let's say he divorced his wife. He divorced one of the ladies' sisters. So the point is Reuven and Shimon. Reuven's wife was an erva to Shimon, and Shimon's wife was an erva to Reuven. Because they're married to two sisters. So originally, if Reuven were to die, Shimon would not be allowed to do yibum because it's his wife's sister. Right? Reuven's wife is Shimon's wife's sister. So he can't do yibum to his wife's sister. So first,
why not yibum?
What?
It's usually yibum past the arayot, yeah. Why cannot?
One second. No. The first Mishnah that we learned, there's 15 arayot that you cannot do yibum to.
One of sister-in-law.
Right. Yeah. So let's just pause this case here. Reuven and Shimon and Levi. So Reuven and Shimon are married to two sisters. Levi is married to some other lady. If Reuven were to die, Shimon cannot do yibum because one of Reuven's wives is his wife's sister. So Levi would have to do yibum. Okay, so that's if they remain married. Now, what's the case in our Mishnah? Reuven divorces his wife, so now it's not Levi's sister-in-law anymore. Right? She's not married to Reuven anymore. She's divorced. Okay, so Reuven's wife is not an erva to Levi anymore. But let's see what happens. So met hanasui nochrit, and then the other brother Levi, who was married to some other lady, he dies. Vekansaham garesh, and Reuven did yibum. Okay, so now Reuven was married to Shimon's sister-in-law, Shimon's wife's sister. He divorced that lady. He did yibum to the third brother Levi's wife. Yeah. Okay, Vemet. I'm sorry. Okay. And then Reuven died. Okay. So now Reuven was married to Shimon's wife's sister. He divorced her. He did yibum to the third brother's wife, and then he died. So you would think that Shimon could do yibum. What's the problem?
Yibum of the third wife.
He could do yibum of Reuven because Reuven's wife.
No, yibum of the Levi's wife.
Levi already died. Reuven did yibum to Levi's wife.
I know Levi's wife, but he died, yeah?
Yeah.
But Levi's wife are available now.
Oh, yeah. So you would, yeah. Right. So in that case, you're allowed to do yibum to the wife. Right? So, Zohi she'amru she'metu o nitgarshu tzarotein mutarot. This is the case where we say that he divorced an erva, right? Tzarotein mutarot, their co-wife is mutar. He's allowed to do yibum to the other wife of Reuven, because Reuven is no longer married to an erva. So, ta'ama de giresh v'achar kach kanas. The whole reason, it seems like, is because he first divorced the sister-in-law, and then he married the other lady. Then he did the yibum. So, tzarotein mutarot. I'm sorry. Aval kanas v'achar kach giresh. But if he would have first married the other lady and then divorced the erva, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be allowed to do yibum. So let's just clarify here, right? In our Mishnah, it sounds like if you have an erva and a co-wife, right? You have, just keep it very simple. Reuven and Shimon, two brothers. Reuven has two wives. One of them is an erva to Shimon, one of them is not. So if Reuven divorces his wife and then he dies, it sounds like Shimon could do yibum.
Which wife he divorced?
He divorced the erva. Okay? He divorces the erva, then he could do yibum. Let's be very, very clear. Let's back up. Let's be very, very clear. Okay? Step one. No, it's very simple.
This is easy. Why is it most complicated?
No. Just this case is a little bit tricky, but the concepts are very simple. So, simple concept. Sarat erva. You have Reuven is married to two wives. One of them is an erva to Shimon. The other one is not. Reuven dies. Shimon cannot do yibum to anybody.
Yeah.
Everything is off. Right? That's the first halacha we mentioned in the Mishnah. Okay? That's number one. Okay. Scenario 2 is Reuven is married to two wives, erva and other lady, right? We'll call them the erva and the other lady. So Reuven divorces the erva, and then he dies.
Uh-huh.
So Shimon can do yibum to the other lady. That's what we said in our Mishnah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the Gemara is asking a question from this case, but the point is the case is structured in a way that Reuven never had both wives at the same time. He first divorced the erva, and then he married the other lady. It sounds like in that case, Shimon would be allowed to do yibum because these wives never shared, they were never married at the same time. But if they were married at the same time, even though Reuven divorced the erva, it sounds like Levi cannot do yibum, or whatever, Shimon, the other brother, cannot do yibum. So the question is, it's a stira really, it's a contradiction. Our Mishnah seems to say what we care about is the time that they died. Freeze frame, when Reuven died, did he have two wives or not? Was he married to an erva or not? If he was married to an erva when he died, so then the whole thing is off, no yibum, no chalitza. If he wasn't married to an erva when he died, then it's fine. I don't care what happened in the past. I don't care that he was married to them before. That's what it sounds like from our Mishnah. From the Braita, it doesn't, or from this Mishnah that we're bringing, it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like Reuven is, all we care about is that he's married to both women at the same time. Then the yibum is off. Even if he divorced, we don't care about was he married to both of them when he died. What we care about are did these two women share a husband at any point in time? So the Gemara is going to make it a little bit more clear. So says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah. Says Rabbi Yirmiyah, Tavra. He says this is a question. This needs to be fixed. Mi sheshina zeh lo shana zeh zo. The one who said this Mishnah didn't say the other Mishnah. I mean, they're two completely different opinions. And he's going to express the difference in a way that's very understandable. Haitana savar mitamapelet. In our Mishnah, he holds that when the guy dies, that's when everything falls into effect, and that's when Yibum, that's when we begin discussing Yibum, and we begin figuring out who's an erva to who. Meaning, when Reuven dies, we like freeze frame right the moment that he died, and we say, okay, was he married to an erva or was he not? If he was married to an erva in the past, we don't care. We don't care about that. All we care about is the moment that when he dies. So if he was married to an erva when he died, so then Yibum Chalitza is all off. If not, then he's allowed to, Yibum Chalitza is on. V'hai Tana Savar, but the Tana of the Mishnah that we brought here, of this case of the three brothers, two of them are married to two sisters, one of them is married to a sister-in-law. So he holds Nisuina Rishonin Mapilim. The initial marriage is what causes the Yibum to take effect. Meaning, what we care about is we freeze frame Reuven at any point in his marriage. Was he ever married to an erva plus another woman? If he was, that other woman is P'turah from Yibum. I don't care what happened when he died. I care about, were these two women ever his wives at the same time? So it's a really, really fundamental machloket when it comes to Yevamot. So Rav Yirmiyah is saying these are two shitas and two different mishnayot. Rava argues and he says no. Leolam chad tanahu. Really, it's all one tana. V'zuvein tzarech lomar zuktani. And the Mishnah is, a lot of times you'll have mishnayot written in a format of zu ve'ein tzarech lomar zu, which means the Mishnah is telling us something that's not really a chidush. Sometimes it'll say something, and then it'll say another case which it really doesn't even have to tell us. It's literally what the words mean. Zu ve'ein tzarech lomar zu. Here is the chidush, and I don't even need to tell you this. So the chidush is the first Mishnah, our Mishnah, where the Reuven is married to, he was married to the to the erva and the tzara at the same time, and then he divorced one of them, and then he died. In that case, you're allowed to do yibum. And ein tzarich lomar zu, I don't even need to tell you a case where he divorced the erva before he married the other wife. That in that case yibum is allowed, right? So that second case of Reuven divorcing his wife before marrying the co-wife, right? That case, it's not davka that he had only in that case he's allowed to, the tzara is allowed to do yibum. Even if he were to marry the other wife and then divorce the erva, it would be allowed.
You know, when he divorced before he get married with another person, after he married with that person, the first wife is out of picture, out of the family, automatically. Yeah?
But what you're talking about, he divorced before he married the other woman?
Yeah.
Yeah, that everybody agrees across the board that if he was married to an erva and then he divorced her and then he married another woman and died, that there is yibum.
No yibum. Yibum for the second one. But the first one, if he's still alive and the brother died, yeah? His brother they cannot get yibum with the divorce of his brother.
No, but if the case is that he was married to an erva, and he divorced that erva, and then he married somebody else. In that case,
so
everybody agrees.
What's that erva picture right now?
She's done. We're not talking about yibum to her.
Uh-huh.
We're talking about the other wife.
But
Since the other wife,
brother could do yibum to her or no?
No, there's no yibum. She's anyone who was married to someone's brother and the guy divorced, that's it. There's nothing to talk about. 100% out of. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So v'chol, next piece of the Gemara, v'chol sheyechola lema'en, anyone who is able to do miyun and does not. So we said in the Mishnah that if somebody is at an age where she's able to do miyun and she doesn't, so her kiddushin is not really a complete kiddushin. Her kiddushin is only derabanan. So let's say Reuven is married to two women, right? Reuven is married to, one of them is an erva to Shimon. Let's say Shimon's daughter, who's a ktana, okay? So the kiddushin is done only in a way that it's derabanan. It's her second marriage, let's say, whatever. You have to work it out to make it that the kiddushin is derabanan, and she could do miyun. She could just walk out of the marriage. So if Reuven is married to her only midirabanan, so if they were married mideoraita, then yes, it's true. There would be no yibum at all for any of Reuven's wives to Shimon. But since they're only married midirabanan, you can't, mideoraita, she really would need, the co-wife, the other wife would need yibum. So what do? We said you do chalitza. You can't do nothing because mideoraita, Reuven's other wife, needs yibum or chalitza. But midirabanan, you can't do yibum because she's a tsarat erva midirabanan, Reuven's other wife. So says the Gemara, I have a better option over here. So we said in the Mishnah that you have to do chalitza. So the Gemara says, "V'timaen hashta v'tityabem." Let her do miyun now, and then she could do yibum. Right? So everyone understands. I really wish I would have put up the projector. Everyone gets the case clear? Reuven is married to two women. One of them is Shimon's daughter, and he's only married to her midirabanan. Okay? So if Reuven dies, we say, well, midiraita, the other wife, needs yibum. Midirabanan, you can't do yibum because she's married. Reuven is married to, she's a tsarat erva midirabanan.
But she's doing miyun.
So one second, before she didn't do miyun yet. She just at the age where she's able to do miyun. So the marriage is only midirabanan. So you can't midoraita, you can't do yibum. I'm sorry, midoraita she requires yibum, the other wife. Midirabanan, she cannot do yibum because she's a tsarat erva. So our Mishnah said, okay, do chalitza. The Gemara is asking, why don't we have, instead of forcing her to do chalitza, let the girl do miyun. That whole marriage is off, and then the other wife could even do yibum. Let the tzara, the Reuven's, the girl, the daughter, Shimon's daughter, do miyun.
If she wants to.
Let her do it. Why don't we say, listen, do miyun, walk out, marriage is over, then that marriage never happened, and you could do yibum to...
She does miyun after
the
her
other lady
husband died?
Yes, to the yavam, because it's still the whole concept of yibum it's a continuation of the original marriage, right? There's no kiddushin midoraita. It's not a new marriage. It's a continuation of the original marriage. The whole concept of yibum.
When you do miyun, the husband has to be alive to give her the miyun, yeah.
So that's gonna be. We're gonna see. That's gonna be a machloket in a minute, but. According to most opinions, she's allowed to do miyun to walk out on the yavam also, and that'll uproot the whole original marriage. Because the yavam is basically he's filling in the shoes of the dead husband. He's basically taking the place of the dead husband. So she could do miyun to him. That whole original marriage is off. It comes out that Reuven's other wife was never a tsarat erva because this marriage never happened. So why don't we tell her do miyun, and then the other lady could do yibum?
Doesn't work.
Why do we force her? Why not?
Why not? The husband, by the time was alive, okay. But if the husband
it doesn't
died,
matter. You could do miyun.
Miyun after the husband died.
Yes. I'm telling you. Listen.
Who?
The yavam, the brother-in-law, the yavam that is supposed to be taking the place of the husband, she goes to the yavam and says, I'm doing miyun on this. We have a relationship. We have a connection because you're filling the shoes of my husband. I'm doing miyun on this. She could uproot the original marriage. According to
she could miyun with the brother-in-law.
Yes. Let's read it inside. So says the Gemara, "Vatimayin hashta v'tityabem." Why doesn't she do miyun? Let her do miyun now, and the co-wife would be able to do yibum. So the Gemara first suggests, like what you're saying. The Gemara says, why don't we say that this is support for Rabbi Oshia? Rabbi Oshia teaches that she cannot do miyun to the zikah, meaning she can't uproot the original marriage and the connection to the brothers. She could do miyun to ma'amar. If one of the brothers tries to do kiddushin to her, he does kiddushin to her, she could, walk out on that kiddushin. She could do miyun on that kiddushin, but she can't do miyun on the zikah, on the connection between them. Meaning, she can't just do miyun and everything is off. She still needs chalitza. So the Gemara says, no, it's not necessarily a proof to Rabbi Oshia. Really, let's say she could do miyun to the brothers. Okay, she could do miyun to the yavam, and she could technically uproot the entire marriage. So why don't we tell her, okay, do miyun, and then let the co-wife do yibum? Why don't we say that? So tzarat erva shani. Tzarat erva is different. Why? Detani Rami Bar Yecheskel miana babal muteret la'aviv miana beyavam asura la'aviv. So we had this before. This Rami Bar Yecheskel, that if a lady does miyun to her husband, so she's allowed to marry the father, being her father-in-law, the husband's father, yeah. Because that marriage, she was never married to his son. But if she falls to yibum, that already looks too much like the marriage was a real marriage, and she can no longer marry the father, her father-in-law. So alma mishad nefila nir'et kekalato. The whole reason is because once she falls to yibum, she really looks like it's his daughter-in-law. She looks like an erva more. So hachanami mishad nefila nir'et ketzarat bito. Also over here, when she falls to yibum, nir'et ketzarat bito, it looks very much like the co-wife of his daughter. So Adkan is this Gemara. I want to read the next Mishnah too, just to get a little bit into the next Amud. So let's read the next Mishnah. Next Mishnah is much lighter. So Shesh Arayot Chamurot Me'elu Mipnei Shenisuot La'acherim. There's 6 Arayot that are more strict than these, more strict than the 15 that we had, because the 15 that we had in our original Mishnah, they were allowed to marry the other brothers. They were just an erva on one brother. These 6, they're an erva on all the brothers. So there's no even kiddushin. So if the brother is married to his mother and some other woman, the other woman is allowed to do yibum, because she's not a tzarat erva, because there was no marriage here. So shesh arayot chamurot me'elu mnei shenesuot la'acherim. There's 6 arayot that are more strict. They could get married only to others, not to these people. Tzarotein mutarot. Their co-wives are mutar. So they're allowed to do yibum. Imo, his mother. Eshet aviv, his father's wife, who's not his mother, maybe it could be his brother's mother. Va'achot aviv, his father's sister. None of the brothers are allowed to marry any of these women. Achoto me'aviv, a sister that he shares a father with. Eshet achi aviv, his brother, his wife from his father's side, right? Who, let's say he divorced his wife, or he had kids, and he died. None of the brothers could take that wife. So ve'eshet achiv me'aviv. Eshet achi aviv is his father's brother's wife. This is eshet achiv me'aviv, his brother that he shares a father with, her wife. The point is, all of these ladies, none of them are allowed to marry any of the brothers.
Anybody related with the father and the mother can do.
Well, anyone who is related to him through his father's side.
Or his mother's side.
Through his father's side, not through his mother's side.
Yeah.
So Beit Shammai. Now this is a massive curveball in all of Yevamot, and this is where it really gets. The Gemara is gonna spend some time on this. So it says Beit Shammai matirin hatzarot la'achin. This whole concept of tzarat erva that we had, that the co-wife of the erva cannot do yibum chalitza, doesn't need chalitza and cannot do yibum. Beit Shammai says no, they can do yibum. Beit Shammai allows the tzarot to the brothers. Ubeit Hillel osrim, and Beit Hillel says asur. Now chaltzu, if chalitza was done, Beit Shammai poslin to one of the tsarat ervas. Beit Shammai says, oh, she can't marry a Kohen anymore. She is a chalutza. So Beit Shammai poslin min hakehuna. Beit Hillel machshirin. Beit Hillel says that they're kasher to marry a Kohen because you did chalitza to somebody who didn't need chalitza. Mm-hmm. Because Beit Hillel says the co-wife of the erva is petura. Nit yavemu, if they did yibum. So Beit Shammai machshirin. Beit Shammai says, listen, if her husband dies, she's allowed to marry a. So again, we're talking about sarat erva did yibum. So Beit Shammai says that she, we'll go over this tomorrow. Just we have to finish up. So Beit Shammai says that she's allowed to do yibum, and therefore, if someone does yibum to the tzarat erva, she doesn't become pasul kehuna. Beit Hillel poslin. Beit Hillel says, what are you talking about? This is an erva. She slept with somebody who she wasn't allowed to. If the brother-in-law did yibum to the tzarat erva, which he wasn't allowed to do, she's psula kehuna. And guess what? The kids are mamzerim. So af al pi she'elu osrim ve'elu matirim, elu poslin ve'elu machshirin. Even though some of the ladies in Beit Shammai's world are pisulin to kehuna for Beit Hillel, and some of the Beit Shammai's kids are mamzerim for Beit Hillel. Lo nimnu Beit Shammai milisan nashim mi Beit Hillel velo Beit Hillel mi Beit Shammai. They didn't refrain. They didn't like cut each other off. They still, they told each other, this one is pasul for you, this one is kasher for you, and they still intermarried within each other. And kol hateorot v'atemeot shehayu elu mitaharim ve'elu mitamein. All of the cases that Beit Shammai said this is tameh and Beit Hillel said this is tahor, or vice versa. Lo nimnu osin taharot elu al gab elu. They didn't refrain from still sharing things and sharing kelim and lending kelim to each other. They would just tell them, listen, this one you need to take to the mikveh. This one I can't give you. This is tameh for you. I'll give you the other one. Whatever it is. They didn't sever ties because they had machloket. They worked it out. Okay, we'll B'ezras Hashem continue.